People are turning up dead. They appear to have all been struck by lightning, but the agents suspect that something paranormal is afoot.
Giovanni Ribisi and Jack Black guest star in this shocking episode.
This is not happening.
My name's Teller. I'm with the Johnson County Sheriff's Department. Just got word there was an FBI investigation.
Yes, I'm Agent Scully.
I know who you are. I just wonder what the hell you're doing here.
These deaths match other cases of multiple fatalities attributed to lightning with the same inconclusive forensic evidence.
Do you know anything about lightning, Agent Scully?
Yes, I know a little.
Did you know that lightning kills several people a year at home, in the shower, or on the phone? That people have seen it dancing on the ground like balls? The scientists will tell you, push come to shove, that they really don't know what makes lightning work at all.
No, I didn't know that.
Well, I know that because I have breakfast with those scientists every morning down at the local diner.
I don't understand.
That's as clear as glass. Do you know what we manufacture here in Connerville? What one of our little local commodities is? We make lightning. Out at the Astadorian Lightning Observatory out on Route 4, 100 ionized rods pointing up into the sky, designed to stimulate lightning.
I didn't know that either.
That's because you didn't do your homework, did you? You came here to do work that's already been done.
With all due respect, sir, these autopsies don't quite add up.
Based on what?
Based on my opinion as a medical doctor.
And based on your medical opinion, if you had to give one, what do you think this boy died of?
Well, since there is no other explanation, right now I'd have to concur with the coroner. That lightning is the most probable cause of death.
And I won't have you or anyone else suggesting otherwise to this boy's family.
Welcome back, everybody, to This Is Not Happening, another X-Files podcast. I am Andrew, joined, as always, by my good friend Mike. Mike, say hello.
How are you doing, sir?
You have already failed the test.
I'm sorry.
Do you want to try again?
Hello, Andrew.
Excellent. I see that you take instruction very well. Excellent. Yeah. Excellent. We're going to be reviewing a really nice episode tonight. Nothing bad happens. It's a pleasant diversion for most X-Files shows because a lot of them, there's some suspense and some action and some death, but this one's really sedate, actually. I was kind of surprised on the review.
Yeah, I mean, it's not overly action-packed, but the suspense is there, and I find this one very successful in capturing teenage angst, I guess.
Yes, that's true. And of course, I was lying completely. There's a lot of death and violence in this one. But no, you are absolutely right. That is one of my final thoughts is how it nicely captures the sort of wasted youth.
Mm-hmm.
When you sort of peak in high school and then had nowhere to go. Or in the case of our antagonists in this show, they really may never have peaked. And when you give one of those guys ultimate power, what happens? It's a really interesting exploration.
The examination of the human endeavor and what they will do with absolute power is very intriguing.
Right. That's what D.P.O stands for. It's absolute power.
Absolute.
Well, written by Howard Gordon, directed by Kim Manners. Now, interesting, because we have come to see from Howard Gordon everything blown up to 11. It is big plot, big story, explosions, not a lot of nuance. But I think in this case, there is a fair amount of nuance.
He does succeed in this one. It's very strange.
He's really come along. Yeah, exactly. Well, I'd like to think he's come a long way.
Absolutely.
He's found a groove and he's in it. And directed by Kim Manners, so it's going to be a really good looking show as well.
Oh,
there's going to be a lot of intriguing camera angles and effects, and it's very cool. Also noteworthy, killer soundtrack to this episode.
Good Lord, it's so good.
I thought you would appreciate it. A lot of the shots, a double play of Filter. Which is great. Did you know that Filter is fronted by Richard Patrick, who is the younger brother of Robert Patrick?
I did not
Robert
know
Patrick.
That. I did not know
I also did not know that. Yes.
That's exciting. It all comes full circle in season 8. Let me tell you.
Finally, although Filter will no longer be,
No.
running the soundtrack in their episode.
No.
Yeah. So, did you want to start talking about the episode, or do we want to talk?
I think we should. I think it's an exciting episode, and I know people want us to get to it because this is a blast.
It is an explosion of action. It is a lightning stroke of plot. You know what? That's all I got for puns and on the title.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
You're
okay.
really pulling up the rear on that one. The puns have gone downhill, sir.
I'm fizzling out.
Oh,
I'm shocked at my own lack of creativity. Those are better. Okay. So we open with a crane shot hovering over a showboat convertible, the camera eventually tracking to show an interior shot of a late century video game arcade. Inside, the arcade is empty of people, but filled with standing video game consoles, a sight you'd be hard-pressed to find these days. The camera tracks through the arcade until we end on a single dude playing Virtua Fighter. On his shirt, a badge that shows he's the owner of the convertible. Aunt B's Pizza. I'm sorry, you wanted to say something, Mike?
No, I was just saying, hell yeah, Virtua Fighter.
I'm
sorry, this room is what I wish my basement looked like. So, yeah.
I was a child of the arcade, actually.
Oh, yeah, I know you, yeah.
Yeah, this was a big deal back in the day before you had game systems and PCs that could do, more calculations than it took to put a man on the moon.
And you'd spend a day there, right? You'd go there with $20 and spend the day there with your brother or your friend and just fucking unload quarters into Mortal Kombat or Killer Instinct.
This is where your allowance went, where your paper route, winnings went. It all turned into quarters, and it got turned into arcade profits. Although, wasn't arcade ever profitable? I mean, they were all fronts for drugs and stuff.
They were dirty places.
One half arcade, one half tattoo parlor, one half pub.
No one goes in this.
Impossible math. Exactly. It's where the bad kids go. Well, our video game player, and who we will learn his name is Jack Hammond. He is approached by Jack Hammond, the very one and only. You're agreeing with me, which is good.
I was agreeing with you.
He is approached by a scrawny young man wearing a Vandals t-shirt and a ball cap. This is Darren Peter Oswald, the eponymous D.P.O., played by a very young Giovanni Ribisi.
Before he was Giovanni.
Oh, man. He's starting his career here, right?
Yeah.
He's returned from his bathroom break to find this guy playing off his quarter. He stutters his anger, "You're playing my game." But the only thing this elicits is a sideward glance. The guy loses. D.P.O. reiterates the breach of arcade etiquette here. "You're playing my game.
You don't do this.
You don't do this." And from behind, another young man approaches, Darren's friend Zero, played by a young Jack Black, who agrees you're playing his game. The pizza delivery guy smirks, tosses D.P.O. into a nearby console, hitting hard. Suddenly, all the power goes
that's
out.
hard.
Zero laments. It rocked the machine, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Zero laments, "You shouldn't have done that." The mood grows chill as the lights reactivate, and the jukebox selects a new record, "Ring the Bells" by James. Darren faces down pizza guy, who suddenly decides he's not going to waste his time and leaves. He goes back to his car, he turns it on, only to find that the radio is playing the same song as is playing in the arcade. He guns it to leave, but sparks erupt from the car and it is disabled. However, the music still plays from the radio. Driver, freaked out, tries again and again to restart the car, to no avail, and sees Darren looking out from the arcade spookily. Suddenly, the driver goes into spasms, having a seizure which sends him sprawling across the car until he goes still, smoke wisping out from between his now dead lips. Back in the arcade, Zero offers Darren a new quarter as he returns to his game, which turns back on, seemingly of its own accord, and begins anew. Darren tells us chillingly, "I feel a new record coming on." Credits.
Damn.
Mike,
so
what did you think of this
man? One? This was excellent. It hit me on so many levels. I'm a gamer. I was young little tyke when this came out. Younger than these fine gentlemen, of course, but
they're post-teens, I'd say.
Yeah. But this was just a great scene. The ominous turning on of the music when Darren goes down. It's like, all right, now you've crossed a line here big time, and you're about to get got.
Have you not seen the X-Files before, dude? Do you not know what's going to happen next?
Yeah, do you not know what's going to happen? No, but when Jack Hammond is convulsing in his car and his head breaks the window, that's terrible.
Yeah.
I did want to point out a couple little fun facts here.
Oh,
I don't know.
I'm sitting back and I'm about to take some notes.
For the real dorks out there, when the scene starts in the arcade, you can hear all the machines on and you hear the Virtua Fighter announcer, but you hear some music. The music, it's actually from Sonic the Hedgehog. So I thought that was kind of funny that I picked up on that. And then
was Sonic a console game?
That was a Sega game.
It was.
It was not
because I thought it was just a console home game console game.
Yeah, I don't think it was an arcade game at all. So I thought that was interesting.
Exactly.
And then
they just thought all video games are video games, right? It doesn't matter. You can play them in an arcade.
Yeah, I would totally. But then the James song, Ring the Bells.
I was going to ask you whether you thought that was an appropriate choice.
I thought it was pretty good. It's a little unsuspecting. It's actually of the Greenpeace performance I think they did. And it's definitely a live show. But if you go to YouTube and you look up that exact track, which I did do for this episode.
And I may have done that too, yeah.
The comments section are amazing because they're all like, I'm glad that the X-Files has brought everyone to this page. It's a good read because everyone picks up on the same vibe of why they're here. It's a great song, but we're all here for the same reason.
Yeah, it's the only James song you'll ever know is the one that played in the X-Files.
Right.
It's exactly the same as the music. I did this too when we were reviewing 3. The music that played at the bar. It's like, that's cool. What is that song? And it's the exact same thing. I can't remember what the song is, but you go to YouTube and all the comments are like, oh, I remember this from when it was on the X-Files. And the song is okay. Oh, we did talk about it then, actually. We talked about how it sounds better in the X-Files than it does as an actual sort of produced glossy track. It sounds better as a grungy going through chain link fence kind of song rather than, cleaned up and listening to on your hi-fi. But
absolutely.
Anyway, that absolutely on all those points. It's a very chilling open. And you know that nothing is good is going to happen with this guy. He's
bad news.
He's bad news. Well, we come back after the commercial, after the credits, to Connorville, Oklahoma, where Scully is performing an autopsy on a dead body. So we're off to a running start.
Yeah.
The body of the young man, our pizza delivery driver, Jack Hammond, appears to be electrocuted. The coroner, a beanpole named Stan, says that the cause of death seems obvious, a lightning strike, which Mulder echoes. We learn that about 60 people per year are hit by lightning in the whole US of A, and here in Connorville we have 5 deaths alone, which is statistically improbable. Sheriff Teller arrives, looking ominous. An additional problem with attributing this death to lightning is Scully notes there is no obvious point of contact. The sheriff swoops in to stop the interrogation of his coroner, throwing around some weight. We have the familiar trope here, the uninvited FBI. He doesn't actually say, I don't recall inviting the FBI, but it's implied. He gets defensive, telling Scully how little she knows about lightning because he has breakfast with lightning scientists down at the local diner.
Of course he does.
Of course he does. The ultimate mansplaining.
The only people you can have breakfast with, lightning scientists. And this guy's got him. He has breakfast with them. He found them. Well, they're there.
He reveals that there is, in fact, a lightning laboratory here in Connorville, and the sheriff is a little defensive about it. Mulder is conspicuously silent, and when push comes to shove, Scully is forced to agree with the coroner that lightning is the most likely cause of death here. So, what did you think about? Yeah, exactly. Time to go back to Washington.
Time to go back. What did I think?
What did you think of this particular use of and there just happens to be a lightning laboratory here?
It is convenient, but at the same time, I guess it helps explain what happened to Darren, why he was struck. It's not completely happenstance, if you will. Maybe it was
makes it weirder.
It makes they were doing a test and maybe he was just on the unfortunate receiving end of it. I guess it makes sense as to why the sheriff is so readily defending this whole thing. And I don't know. I mean, it works in the sense that we need lightning to be common here so the story can make sense. And so it's a little bit more palatable to the people who are like, well, how many people, why is there so much lightning in this place? I think it might work
with it.
Well, I was going to say, I think it would have worked if there was no lightning factory or whatever you want to call it. It would be more obvious. If there was no lightning laboratory, then the amount of people that are being struck by lightning is much more concerning, I guess, which is, why the agents are here in the first place. But the laboratory being in the episode makes it so that it's just part of their life. This happens. It's unfortunate, but the amount of lightning is not uncommon. So,
well, here's my hot take for you. I don't think that this episode needed the lightning laboratory at all. And you know why I say that is because it never shows up. We don't have any characters from the lightning laboratory. We never go there. We never question them. If it's done off camera, but I have a feeling it's never actually done. So whether there was a part of the script that they cut for time or effort or whatever, I mean, it's clearly just backstory, but I don't think it's absolutely necessary.
It's not. Like I was saying, you could do it or not do it. And I think if you didn't do it, there's definitely more reason for the agents to be there. I don't know.
Yeah, but there's a reason for them to be there anyway. I don't know. I just think it's weird that we have this illusion and we never go there. We never have the pointy head scientists saying,
right,
telling us all about lightning, and how, oh no, our lightning is like, there's a real missed opportunity there, I think. Okay. Well, I've got that on the record. After the sheriff leaves, Scully's a bit ticked off with Mulder for not speaking up. He just doesn't think it's lightning. She gives a nod to mythology episodes, like saying, after all we've seen, do you think maybe it's UFOs or government conspiracies? And he's basically saying, actually, no, in this case, I don't think it's UFOs and I don't think a government conspiracy is at play here. It very well could have been, like we could have had another red museum where the sheriff is running interference. And
you see the well-manicured man zapping people from a ray gun.
Yep. Mulder brings up another very important plot point. All of the victims in Connerville are young men between the ages of 17 and 21. At the very least, they could check out the crime scene.
Yep.
So, Mike, let's go to the crime scene.
Let's go to the arcade. Now, you're going to tell us where this is. I sense it.
You did not see my notes here, which actually do say this is North Vancouver.
I've been here many times. In fact, I went to the lens crafters that they show in the opening.
Yeah, well, it is in North Van. It is not, in fact, Connerville, Oklahoma, which is not a real place.
Oh.
The farm that we'll visit later is out in Albion. It's a bit of a drive from Vancouver, but not too far. This is all BC still, folks. We're still in season 3. Well, the crime scene of downtown Connerville, I say in air quotes, the police found Jack Hammond in his car just after midnight. All the circuitry in the car had been melted. Jack's last pizza delivery was just after 11:30, but Mulder clocks that the arcade was the only storefront that would still have been open. Inside, we see Zero, a.k.a. Jack Black, counting quarters as Mulder and Scully arrive. The arcade's busy during the day as Scully questions Zero. Mulder walks around. Zero plays innocent when Scully shows him Jack Hammond's picture. There's a great, oh, that was him.
Awesome.
When he realizes he can't fake this way out of this one. Yeah, and he looks, I don't know.
He looks like your schoolboy smiling, but he's really just a big bully.
Oh, yeah. Jack Hammond's picture for sure. There's a dark story behind him. But you really do see the genesis of Jack Black's acting style here.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I don't. It's totally like, oh yeah, that was him.
He's perfect for this role because this is Jack Black. I can't. Yeah, perfect casting.
It's a real pity that he doesn't get to come back. That he'll be electrocuted.
Oh, whoa!
I'm sorry. I'm gonna spoil it for the people who hadn't seen this like a zillion times. Yeah. Okay. So we have that moment where he realizes he can't fake it out. Meanwhile, Mulder has found the Virtua fighter machine and sees all of D.P.O's high scores, complete with the time he made them. Mike, Is that accurate? Would you have the time code of the score? 'Cause I don't think so.
I think you might have the date. I don't know about time. That is a good question that I did not think to look up, but
I did not think to look it up either, but could be.
You know what?
Could be the thing. Wait, okay, go find out.
I'll find out. You
put an
continue,
asterisk on
sir.
the legitimacy of this episode because I don't think you would have had the time code on that. But nice move, Mulder. You found the piece of evidence, and we like it when you find things. He doesn't notice anything strange. Sorry, this is Jack Black mentioning that he didn't see anything strange. I'm sorry, I should call him by his character's name. It's not Jack Black in the episode. It's Zero. So Zero says he didn't see anything strange because it gets pretty loud in the arcade. Mulder asks about other lightning victims, and Scully rhymes them off. Mulder makes the connection between D.P.O. and Darren Oswald. D.P.O. And that Darren was at the arcade last night when the incident happened, so he's going to be in our next point of call. Mike, I see you Googling there. Have you made any discoveries?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay, we'll come back. You keep doing that. We cut to Darren at work. He works in an auto body shop, and we see him doing some work beneath a car, listening to some heavy alternative on his Walkman. This is Hey Man, Nice Shot by Filter, fronted by the Patrick brother, who is not going to be Agent Doggett. Now we see from Darren's POV some attractive legs walking his way, and the expression on his face suggests he's about to lift the car from the power of his erection. He slides out of the car to...
Who needs hydraulics when you got Sharon Kavit?
God, Darren, you scared me.
What?
Where's Frank?
Oh, he's out on a tow. Is there anything I can help you with?
No, we're supposed to go to dinner.
Oh, are you hungry? I can get you something to eat. You want something? I got jelly donuts.
No, thank you.
Are you sure that they're from yesterday, but they're still good? I had one. Hey, Mrs. Kavit, hey, about those things that I said yesterday,
Sorry I'm late, hon. I had to tow that poor pizza delivery kid's car. Oh, hey, Darren. I just got a call on the radio. Some people are coming to see you. They say they're with the FBI.
You have the arousal of a young man. He slides out of the car, almost crashes into Sharon Kavit, who will be known as Mrs. Kavit until about 4/5 of the episode. He's noticeably uncomfortable around Darren, and he begins to apologize for the things he said yesterday.
Yeah.
All right, checking in on Google research.
No luck.
No? Okay.
You know, I would find it, I'll put it this way. I would find it an unnecessary...
Plunging into the depths of your memory of video games here.
I would find it an unnecessary hurdle for them to go into the motherboard of an arcade system just to put that in there.
Interesting. So maybe Howard Gordon's in an arcade. He sees Virtua Fighter. He sees the name list, and he sees that it's got the dates there, and he's like, "Oh wait, that's a plot point."
I would guess that maybe it did. I know they had ranking systems, obviously, and then
oh god, yeah,
like dates. But for individual time, I honestly don't know. But I'm willing to give it a pass because it's me.
Okay, but here's a little plot inconsistency. If the unit shuts down and turns on, would that not reset all of the scores?
Oh, wait a minute. I think
you made a discovery.
I think I found a photo of the ranking of Virtua Fighter. It says rank, name, time, and character.
Wow.
So I think it's legit.
Okay.
I'll show you.
To the rescue. I believe you. I don't need to be sure.
I'm not lying.
Audio format. The listeners at home can't see what
I'll say this. The only thing suspect is the fact that this is Virtua Fighter 1 and the game in question is Virtua Fighter 2. So maybe they did have it, maybe they didn't. I don't know.
Maybe it changed for the sequel version.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we cut to a photo of Jack Hammond in Darren's hands, and he hands it back to Scully while Mulder asks Darren about the events of the previous evening. Darren says he didn't see anything. When he's in his zone, a nuclear explosion could go off and he wouldn't notice. Mulder asks Darren if he thinks he's a lucky person, noting that of all the 5 people struck by lightning, Darren is the only one who survived. And Darren admits that maybe he is when Scully notices there is something burning in Mulder's pocket.
It is his nipples.
Cell phone. The power of teenage arousal. No, it's not his nipples. It's his cell phone, which he drops to the floor, and they all watch it smoke and melt. This effectively ends the interview, and Darren leaves.
Bummer.
Weird, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, he plays it about as cool as he can. I mean, to be fair, he plays it a little more deftly than I would give him credit for.
Yeah.
He plays it, he's definitely on the ropes here, but he's got answers and, he's just being a teen.
So the list of superpower that Darren has, I guess it's 1. He can control electricity. Mm-hmm. But the method that it can work, I'm having a hard time saying this, but essentially, you know how I have a bit of a hard time when, as the plot develops, the villain has kind of more and more things that they can do. They suddenly turn into expert photographers and lock pickers, and they have sudden government contacts. You know what episode I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But in this case, so far, we know that he can mess with electronics. He can turn the power on and off for video games. He can make the jukebox go. He can somehow transmit the music to the car. He can make the radio work and the car. Shut the car down, and then he can inspire. Well, I guess he's inspiring an electroshock type thing into somebody. He can simulate the charge of electricity, direct it into somebody else. But now he can mess with cell phones as well, which I guess is an extension of the first power. But it's important to note right here, he's able to evoke electricity into something else.
Mm-hmm.
Is that fair to say?
I think so.
Okay. Just so we're keeping track, because it changes as the episode goes on.
Oh, all right.
Okay. We'll see. Later this evening at the Oswald household, Mrs. Oswald is watching TV when the channel changes, seemingly on its own. She barks at Darren to stop fooling with the remote when she mysteriously finds it close at hand.
Oh, it's under my fat ass.
It's under my lard ass. Crazy. Maybe that's the second remote.
She could lose a lot down there.
Oh. It's not paradise at the Oswald household. Mrs. Oswald doesn't think much of Darren's manners, and Darren doesn't think much of her TV watching choices. Zero comes by to tell Darren about his visit from the FBI. They head out into the field. Darren says he feels like a little barbecue. And Zero ominously says, "Oh man, not the cows again." Darren paces around the field, telling the clouds he's ready. "Come on down, come and get me," as cows stand passively in the background. Zero runs away, knowing the carnage to come. And as Mark Snow's music amps up, thank you for that nod to my pun, several bolts of lightning connect with Darren, sending him prone to the ground. Zero arrives to see how he is, and it turns out he's just fine. Excellent, he agrees.
Excellent.
That was a pretty cool scene.
Yeah.
And it's all practical, too.
Yeah, it gives us a... Yes. I don't
seriously,
know.
they had to put him onto a special stand so that he'd be insulated. There's all sorts of sparks and stuff going on around him.
Mm.
I mean, they didn't bring down some lightning bolts onto him, but the accoutrement around him are all set up. So.
Right. That's good stuff.
The next day, the agents. Sorry, were you?
No, I was just going to say it's a very cool scene, very tense, and you can see his agency to call forth lightning, and it becomes a little bit more real now, right?
Yeah,
we get an answer here. So
yeah, definitely. The next day, the agents arrive at the farm crime scene where Sheriff Teller is watching over dead cows. Scully and Mulder walk up and have a brief discussion about lightning. Apparently, every lightning bolt resonates at 8 cycles per second, the Schumann frequency Mulder intones, and now Mulder gets to put Sheriff Teller in his place. I've done my homework, Sheriff. It's also revealed that the lightning observatory is just a short distance away from the scene, so, not entirely a coincidence. Finally, the sheriff points out the site of a lightning strike, as if to seal the deal on his assessment that this was just a lightning strike and that the agent's business here is probably done. However, Mulder sees in the fulgurite, the glass-like structure formed when lightning hits the ground, that there is a partial shoe print embedded. Oh, look at that, Mike. We got another clue.
How is this possible? How can the lightning walk? That is the real X-file.
Sheriff, I need you to put out an APB for a 22-foot-long bolt of lightning wearing Converse.
Yes. Let's get it found.
Let's get a bolo. Back at the forensic lab, Scully is able to identify a lot about the boot from the partial print. It's a men's military boot, size 8.5. She has also found a viscous substance embedded in the fulgurite. She thinks it's antifreeze. Mulder uses his superpower and identifies Darren Oswald as his suspect, boots in an auto mechanic shop. And they head out to see if the shoe fits.
Oh!
Howard Gordon, you devil.
Howard Gordon.
Well, we cut over to Country Road A7, our camera lingering on a traffic light which is showing green lights to both directions. 2 cars narrowly avoid hitting each other, and Darren looks on with glee from a nearby roadside billboard. Zero joins him with beer and an idea. Darren makes the lights turn green again, and again there is almost another hit, but it's avoided only by the cars having excellent ABS brakes. Zero suggests that they go to Las Vegas, where Darren can win some serious money. But Darren says he isn't going anywhere without Mrs. Kavit, who we are to learn was his high school teacher, but she failed him. He carries a serious torch for her and is going to let her know how he feels. Zero tries to convince Darren that Mrs. Kavit is not going to leave Frank for someone like Darren. Darren says he's just going to have to show her how special he is, as 2 cars collide into each other with another traffic light malfunction. Darren whoops at the carnage, and we can see that Zero has some mixed feelings about what's happening with his friend. So
he's going nuts.
He's going nuts, but do you think Darren has always been this way?
I think on some level he's been... Well, first of all, he's underdeveloped, right? That's a given. I would say he's not necessarily always been violent, but hasn't really had the power to assert himself. And the new power that he has is giving him a reason to act out with maybe how he's been treated his whole life or something. He's definitely a sympathetic character at some level, but then it crosses over into creepy. And
you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of our lead character from Blood.
A little bit,
you know, this hapless guy who has now been given some autonomy to exert his influence over the world.
Yeah, very similar and very tragic.
Indeed. Well, meanwhile, over at the Oswald residence, Mulder and Scully are doing an illegal search of Darren's room.
Did you say illegal?
Yeah, totally legal.
Illegal?
Illegal. Where's the warrant?
Well, I mean, they asked her if they could search.
And she said, "Where's your warrant?" And
she still lets them in.
I know.
I mean, it's her
do
fault.
They want to press charges against this kid? I mean, this is like, do your homework, get a warrant if you're going to try and eventually charge him with something.
Andrew, we've got no time for that. We've got 44 minutes, God damn it.
Well, Mike, Mrs. Oswald doesn't think Darren would hurt a fly. To Mark Snow's light piano and strings, the two search through the room. Scully confirms Darren is an 8.5. That's what he is. Scully confirms Darren's an 8.5 shoe size. Mulder finds a skin mag with a picture of Mrs. Kavit in it, clipped from Darren's yearbook. They confirm that it is Sharon Kavit, and that the garage Darren works for is called Kavit Auto Body. Oh, the plot sickens. Over at the accident scene, an ambulance pulls up, as does Stan Kavit in his tow truck. Stan discusses the accident with a deputy and begins to have a pain in his shoulder. He looks over at the assembled crowd and sees Darren and Zero looking back at him like teenage zombies. Suddenly, Stan seems to have a heart attack, falls to the ground, but thankfully there are paramedics on the scene who can quickly respond. They quickly find that he has a thready pulse, whatever that means, and that they should get the kit. Darren sees this as his moment to shine and walks over. Paramedics hook up the kit to Stan, but there appears to be no charge in the unit. As one paramedic runs to get the backup, Darren kneels down next to Stan and places his hands on Stan's chest. There's a burst of electricity and Stan's heart is back to normal. As the two paramedics look at Darren in disbelief, he smiles and says, "Rescue 911." Because TV is everything. It provides us with everything we need. Isn't that right?
Absolutely everything. I mean, they really do capture. Howard Gordon captures the essence of being a teenager in this time period, the mid-90s. Small town, everyone is governed by television, which is a theme, I think, in the X-Files.
For sure. I'm going to say that it's a narrow view of teens, though, because I don't think every teenager is a waster. I think they certainly like to amp up that stereotype, though. Like when they bring in Seth Green and his girlfriend later on, they're going to have that whole pothead thing going on. But for now, this is what we've got. It's a nice dramatic scene, though. It's a nice element there, and you can see exactly what's going through Darren's mind as he's doing this. He's kind of explained the plot a little bit to Zero, but here's a
couple things to note, sir.
Please.
Mr. Kavit, he is the hot and sexy deputy that pulled over Dwayne Barry in Ascension.
Oh, wow.
That is right. Mr. Kavit. And I did also want to mention, because we blew past it and we were talking about a whole bunch of other stuff, but Mar Anderson's is Jack Hammond. And we last saw him in Dod Calm as the first mate. And
he was the first mate there.
We will never see him
A lot more likable character, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have a commercial, probably for Absolute Defibrillators Incorporated or something. After the commercial, we're at Felton Community Hospital. Mrs. Kavit drops a cup of water, and Mulder goes over to help her stay hydrated and ask her some questions about Darren Oswald. But Mrs. Kavit won't answer his questions. She just wants to be with Stan. Scully arrives and shows Mulder the report of Stan's heart attack, that all they saw was Darren touch Stan's chest, and this restarted Stan's heart. Mulder shows Scully Oswald's chart from the date of his lightning strike. Scully notes that Darren's blood test showed acute hypokalemia, a severe chemical imbalance characterized by high sodium and low potassium levels. Here's where Mulder uses his superpower to figure out how D.P.O. works his lightning magic, that Darren is able to conduct millions of volts of electricity and yet remain unharmed. We okay with Mulder so far on this?
They never really go into it.
They don't go all sciencey like they have.
I think that's safe because I mean, it's best not to turn your brain on for this particular power.
I think they have learned their lesson from previous episodes where there is that coda at the end where they explain the villain. And we just have a coda where they show us the villain and kind of what he's still able to do, like setting him up for the sequel. But they don't explain his power, which is, I think, a good thing because it's not necessary.
Not necessary, and it would be very difficult.
I think they cut a lot of this episode, all of the Lightning Observatory stuff, in order to get us here. So they did not need to add an explanation.
Right.
Well, the duo head over to the Oswald property, catching Darren out in the field. Darren, drinking a beer, screams at them, "Not touch him! Don't touch me!
Don't touch me!
I didn't do nothing." Yep. And later at the police lockup, clearly they have touched him. Scully is now interrogating Darren. Darren protests his innocence, saying they should be giving him a medal for saving his boss, but Scully says they aren't so sure. Darren thinks that Zero has given him up, but Scully admits nothing and leaves to reconnect with Mulder. Apparently, Darren says that he gave Stan CPR and saved him, that he paid attention in health class. Mulder thinks that Darren set up the whole incident and wants to run a whole suite of tests on Darren, but Scully thinks they don't have time or the facilities to do this, Mulder. Mulder thinks of one other person that can help them.
Mrs. Kavit.
Mrs. Kavit's coming up, but I wanted to say we missed that scene of Darren being taken down to the police station. Because I think there would have been violence in that. I don't think that he would have responded well quietly. He would not have gone quietly.
That was one tough struggle to get the cuffs on. That was
well, exactly.
2 agents holding him down while they get his arms behind his back. And
lightning bolts coming down the whole way. I mean, this is... There's the plot opportunity they could have had here was the Achilles heel is exposed, and that's how they're able to get him there, and then they use it against him later, but that is not how they chose to go in this episode. Well, we cut back to the Kavit residence, where the agents reveal to Mrs. Kavit that Darren is in custody, and that they need her help to press charges. In the living room, Mrs. Kavit reveals their backstory. She teaches remedial education, and Darren was one of her students. She was aware that Darren had a crush on her. She got him the job at Stan's garage because she felt sorry for him. But she also knew that Darren's crush has not gone away. He's also told Mrs. Kavit that he had dangerous powers right after Jack Hammond was killed. She's afraid from what he might do to her, what he might do to Stan. Scully gives some meaningly promises of her safety, and the agents return to lay some charges against Oswald. When they get to the police station, however, they find that Oswald is no longer in custody. Sheriff Teller reveals that he has sent Darren home. We have some great antagonistic banter as the sheriff suggests there is no scientific basis for the claims the agents make in their arrest report, and Scully's excellent retort is, "You said it yourself, Sheriff. Even science can't explain how lightning works."
Boom.
Mulder comes back to explain that Mrs. Kavit isn't home. The two rush off, leaving Sheriff Teller with his doubts. Sick burn, Scully.
That's true. I don't know how lightning works. Weird.
You know what? I'm sure my guys down at the diner will be able to explain all this.
So what's about to happen, Andrew? This is the episode's going to take a turn here.
It's going to take a little turn, and I'm not entirely sure. I mean, we needed another death because it's been about 10 minutes since we've had a death. So obviously we need to keep
we got screwed out of Mr. Kavit's death.
That's right. So I think what was necessary was a bit more backstory from Zero to explain how Darren wasn't always like this, how he was a great guy, and then he got hit by lightning and now he's changed. And I think that's what's missing here because I think it's implied, but we don't see it. Over at the arcade, Zero is shutting down operations when the power goes out. In the darkness, Zero gets freaked out. He knows what's going on. He cries out to know where Darren is. Why is he doing this? He didn't say anything. And the jukebox again begins to play Darren's theme song by Filter. Hey man, nice shot. Zero leaves the arcade. He makes it out onto the street, where billowing storm clouds and rising wind suggests that nothing good is going to happen. Suddenly, Zero is struck by a lightning bolt in the back, spraying a cloud of quarters onto the pavement in front of him. We see Darren standing atop the arcade, looking over at his handiwork, completely emotionless.
I really like this scene. I like when
it's so epic.
Well, not just the whole death scene, but when they show Darren on top of the arcade, and they do 2 quick cuts, one closer than the next.
Yeah.
To Darren's face, and you see the clouds in the background, obviously a blue screen in the back, but it's just a really cool technique that they use to kind of imply the serious nature of what's going on. He's turned on his best friend, and things just got a little bit more real.
I mean, this is it though. Like we are given his actions. We're not given much background for them other than he thinks that Zero has turned on him. And no matter what Zero is going to say, this is what he's going to choose to believe.
Yeah.
And the aftermath of seeing his expression is completely devoid of emotion. You know, he's so fixated on his goal that he has no. I mean, if you told me that he was a hardcore drug user, you know, that he was overdosing on methamphetamine or something to get to this point, it would make sense. But, you know, we don't have that. We just have the excuse, oh, he was hit by lightning and now he's different. So, and that's implied, you know, it's not even said. Well, we go to commercial. After that, the agents arrive at the hospital, telling a nurse to lock down the hospital. The Kavits appear fine. Scully tells Mrs. Kavit that Darren was released from custody. As Mrs. Kavit, Sharon, we finally get her introduced as, she argues that she won't leave without her husband. The power in the hospital goes out and switches over to emergency lights. An elevator suspensefully rises to their level, and when the doors open, we see the dead body of Zero. Scully goes over to confirm his death. Mulder rushes over to the stairwell to confront Darren, walking down some spookily red-lit stairs. However, Darren has eluded them, marching around upstairs to find Mrs. Kavit. Scully now has Darren at gunpoint, telling him to get back, and Darren wants Mrs. Kavit to come with him, that he has some things he needs to say to her. Scully gives Darren to the count of 3, and the whole episode could have ended right there, except that Sharon
Stop it!
intervenes. She gets between Darren and Scully, saying she'll go with Darren. And Darren and Sharon. Share Dare. That's their cute couple name, is Share Dare.
Mm-hmm.
They leave together, slowly walking away. So outside we have Share Dare, with Darren holding Sharon's hand as they walk through the hospital parking lot. It's actually kind of sweet, this moment. I mean, it's super tense. But
yeah, she is terrified. And she plays that very well.
That restrained terror, like I have to sort of go along with this to get out of this.
But for how long?
But it's a real nice picture to see Darren has that look on his face like I've finally got what I've wanted. I have won. I have beat the world. I have beat my own record. He tells her and us about the first time they met at school, where he even remembers the dress she was wearing. She wants to know where he's taking her, to which he can only reply, wherever you want to go. He has everything he's ever wanted right now. He suggests he can get her anything she wants.
He's laying the charm on in the only way he knows, and that is to tell her that the first day he saw her, he was trying to see through her dress.
Yes.
That's what you tell this lady. You want her to love you so.
It's very adolescent, though.
It is.
It's something you would like. Clearly, he's got no experience with women, right? So I think he's treating her like he would have treated Zero. Like, this is the kind of joke you would make to Zero, but she's special, and this is his way to be charming, I guess.
Yeah, he does not have any clue how to talk to anyone, and this is
exactly.
His hormones have definitely governed his entire action this episode.
Oh god, yeah. Well, he suggests he can get her anything he wants, any kind of car she wants.
We can take any car you want. You just take your pick. We could take an Accord or a Maxima. Do you like any of those? Or hey, if you don't want to go Japanese, how about a Taurus? No, you're right. All these cars suck. We'll just boost one of them for right now, and then we'll trade it later.
He proceeds to make cars start running just by looking at them. Car pulls up as the music begins to get more suspenseful. It stops, and Sheriff Teller emerges from the driver's seat. Darren tells Sharon to take it easy, he'll take care of this, but she runs away to a shocked Darren. Sheriff orders Darren to come over to him, but Darren chases after Mrs. Kavit. The music ratchets up to a full-blown horror film soundtrack as Sharon continues to run away, the music reaching crescendo as Mulder catches her and pulls her into a bush to hide from Darren.
Those stings are very tense.
Huge. I mean, it is full on,
Yeah. And they slowly get faster and a little bit more intense. And the looks on his face, he does not understand what's happening. He really, truly thought that she was going to go with him.
He thought he'd won. This was it. I got what I wanted.
And then when she runs away, he can't process what's happening.
Yeah.
Oh, come on now. I said I'd take care of you. What else did you want? I'd have given you anything. Anything you wanted. Mrs. Kareem!
Hey, son, turn around. Let's go. Look, I don't know what kind of trouble you're up to, but I want some answers.
No! I want some answers! Where is she? Come on now! You're pissing me off! Tell her to get out of there! Tell me where she is!
The wind picks up, making the sheriff's hair flutter and probably giving him some second thoughts about the wisdom of this approach. Mulder rushes over, screaming at the sheriff to get out of there, as Darren continues to scream at him to know where Sharon is. A nearby transformer explodes, blasting sparks into a nearby tree. The sheriff's flashlight explodes, sending him to the ground. Lightning bolts cascade across Darren, sending him spasming and smoking to the ground. Neither of the agents appears to be in a big hurry to see if either of these two victims are all right as our scene fades out. So, we are now in Arcota. The agents visited the Oklahoma State Psychiatric Hospital to check in on Darren. Scully reveals that Teller's death was ruled accidental due to lightning. The scientists at the observatory also reported lightning. Tests run on Darren have come back normal, though Mulder laments to Scully that he doesn't believe he's normal at all. Through the glass, we see Darren watching television. A slow push in to Darren shows he is changing the channels without a remote. And in a nice twist to the usual sign-off for the show, the final image displayed on Darren's television is the executive producer credit for the show, Chris Carter.
Yeah.
Hey.
One of the only times they do that, if not the only time. I think there's one other, but
yeah.
We talked about it before a long time ago, and I brought this episode up, but yeah.
Yeah.
What
an
episode, right? Yeah.
A lot of episodes. So
we end the episode to the tune of Live Fast Diarrhea by the Vandals, which is an excellent album. I had it myself as a kid.
You were Darren.
No.
Minus the lightning powers.
I was not Darren.
Mrs. Kavit.
Mrs.
I
Kavit.
like how he doesn't call her Sharon, huh? He just calls her Mrs. Kavit.
Yeah. And because he's so underdeveloped, right? He's very childish still. He's young, but he's not technically a child. He's just so stunted, I want to say. His emotional growth has not been there, and he's, as you can see in the episode, he goes from one extreme to the next, where it's anger to passiveness to love, or what he calls love, with Sharon Kavit, but it's all very much all in each time it switches. And when he's yelling at the sheriff to, where's Mrs. Kavit? And he's losing his mind, because these are the only emotions he knows. And when he does them and when he has them, it is 100% every time. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you kind of leaned into some final thoughts there, Mike. Did you put the stamp of officialness on them? I think this is a great episode, and it's definitely probably the best of the teen angst episodes. It beats the brakes off of schizogeny for sure.
But I'd argue that's not a teen angst episode. I'd argue that's an anti-abuse episode, really.
Well, absolutely. It's better than Rush in season 7, although that's an enjoyable episode too. I like that episode. But yeah, I think it is, to me, the best of these types of episodes, where there's a young person with some strange power they're faced with, that it has something to do with hormones and something to do with their age, allowing them to be what they are. And I think this episode is very exciting, and it is in no small part due to the supporting actors. Each and every one of them is so good in this episode.
Yeah.
And this is, episode 3 of season 3. And they've helped discover Giovanni Ribisi, Jack Black. They're going to discover Ryan Reynolds a few episodes later. This is a great time to be on the X-Files, let me tell you.
It's the golden years of the X-Files.
It is.
No, absolutely. And I say basically the same thing about those guys. I mean, it's obviously classic, excellent Monster of the Week episode. Nice return to the familiar format after 3 solid mythology episodes. But if mythology is not your thing, maybe it's about time. And a great start to the season, really.
And it's just fun, right? And we talked about the explanation of his power, and they didn't do it. And I think that's good. We agree that that's good, because we don't necessarily need it. And it probably would have hurt the episode if they tried to do it.
It's the one thing that they decided to leave at the side of the road.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably the best thing to leave, so that you could have more screen time of Giovanni Ribisi, which is really what moves this plot along. Like,
Yeah.
the agents do things in this episode. I appreciate that. But realistically, the show is him. You know, it's about sort of just containing the damage of what he does and getting to a point, which leads me to a question. If you're
I'm willing,
ready.
sir.
There are multiple times where they could just shoot him and have it be done.
Yes, that's true.
And they choose not to. And they don't give us a bit of an answer like he could explode and kill us all.
And I would venture to say, if the conceit is you either don't shoot and let him live, or you shoot and kill or whatever, wound.
Yeah.
If that's what we have to live by in the X-Files, I would say that the writers, without words, gave motives to the agents to be like, we can't pin anything on this guy right now because we really have no evidence other than the fact that he was there. Because as they point out to us at the end of the episode, he is just a normal teenage boy. So what could they have justified? He didn't do anything.
Well,
I mean, outwardly
there was an
to
abduction.
them. For
Sharon
Miss
did
Cavee,
sort of
yes.
go willingly.
Yeah,
She
but
did
I
go
mean,
willingly though.
that is the most deliberate thing they could probably charge him with. But to justify shooting him, I think that would be very hard. Not that the X-Files plays in that realm of logic, but you know, like if we want to give it some,
decides to, it does.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that they decide not to shoot him for the sake of the plot, and fine. You know, it makes for an interesting story. But I mean, there are times when clearly the answer is right there. You know, if he is about to kill the sheriff, maybe, I mean, Mulder's not dumb. He knows what's going to happen here. So why doesn't he just shoot him in the leg or something? But we all know that Mulder's not that great a shot. So maybe that's part of it.
Yeah.
Well, just wanted to, again, give Ribisi another shout out. Like, this is his episode. Darren Oswald is a simple character with a motivation so painfully simple, it's excruciating to watch him pine for the unrequited love of Mrs. Cavite. I will say the death of Sheriff Teller is telegraphed pretty far away. He's not likable for us due to his mansplaining and his obstinacy to the agents. And so when he dies, we kind of get this feeling like, well, he brought it on himself.
About time.
I'm not sure I'm in love with that, you know? Like, I feel like this is just a writing decision to take him out.
I'll be honest.
It's not entirely necessary.
I would be okay if he lived.
Because so like,
you know me, I'm always, and I bring this up every time it happens, but I'm always happier when the law enforcement comes around, right? To help the agents. And I think he was about to do that. I mean, he's confronting Darren at the end, but still, I think he didn't do anything to come around, but you can see it in his face. He's starting to believe. And
yes.
And then he gets iced. So it's like, fuck.
I think that's pathos, though. You know, like he's the architect of his own demise. You know, in the end, he realizes the mistakes he's made and he's going to pay for it. So
right.
I think that there's a school of writing which justifies it. I just don't think it's necessary. I think it's an obvious trope. So maybe that's the one thing I'd say about this. They didn't need to do that. I
don't believe his flashlight could do it.
Yeah.
I think that was an instrument, a very weird instrument to have kill him.
I think that was just an extension. I think that we know that Darren is super capable of killing people, and this flashlight was just an extension of that power.
Gotcha.
I don't know why he's still locked up at the end. Like, clearly, you know, he's still that dude. Have you put him into a rubber room or something?
He's going to Magneto his way out of there. Just you
he
watch
is
it.
Totally going to do that, and should get D.P.O. 2. D.P.O. 2.0 is what we should have had. I'm ashamed for them for not seeing that there was a great opportunity for that.
You know, there's Donnie Faster and then there's D.P.O.
Exactly.
Which one deserves a sequel? They both do, but still.
Well, Donnie Faster deserved a better sequel.
A better sequel, yes.
I don't know. What do you do with D.P.O.? The object of his fascination is Sharon Cavite.
No,
it would be very trite to go back for that.
The one
it
that
would be
got
interesting.
away.
What's the sequel story for him?
Oh,
I'll put it to our listeners to write an excellent story that we'll review. Do your fanfic.
D.P.O. and Scully.
Have a romance. Have a romance in there. That would be great.
Yikes.
Hey, you know what else we got to do is we got to say good to you, Howard Gordon, for an excellent script, one where the volume is merely at 10 and not 11.
Yeah.
A lot of subtlety in this one, making it a true classic.
It succeeded on all fronts. I think this one works very well.
Absolutely.
And it's just a love letter to the times, right? Just the arcade.
90s arcades. Yeah.
The television obsession for a lot of kids, the rock and roll music. Good stuff, man.
Yeah. What a great episode.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, did we?
You know, it's probably the best episode of season 3.
You know what? I don't think so, sir. I'm not sure which one that is, but
are you sure there's not a better one?
I think there is a better one. I just got to find it.
Okay. Well, we'll see if it comes up.
All right.
Well, lovely listeners, that is the end for us of this session where we talk about things X-Files. Thanks for listening to us talk about D.P.O. tonight. And in the tradition of our podcast, Mike, I shall give you the final word.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
That's 2 words you failed. Again, I gave you 1 word.
Well, a lot of times people combine good night into 1 word. They do, sir.
I tell you, it's 2 words.
I know it's 2 words, but a lot of people scrunch them together, sir.
All right, fine. It's your podcast. You can do whatever you want.
All right. Thank you for recognizing that. So, can't even get through it with a straight face. All right. Well,
thanks for
thank
listening,
you
folks.
for listening.
Good night.
See ya. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you liked what you heard, please rate and review on your podcast app of choice. Andrew and I would be eternally grateful to you fine people for helping us expand and get the word out. Also, we've got a killer group on Facebook. Feel free to join in on the discussion at facebook.com/groups/thisisnothappeningpod and become an official member of the syndicate. We do polls and we have questions for every episode to give you guys the opportunity to chime in and possibly let your voice be heard on our recordings. And please join us on our new Twitter at tinhxfilespod, no dash, to stay up to date on everything, moment to moment. Thank you, and remember, don't stop swimming.